Congressman Rodney Davis of Illinois is with us. He's the ranking member of the House Administration Committee, and he's been a leader in combating false narratives. Sir, thank you for being on the program. Did they tell a lie?
Absolutely. This is misinformation at its highest point, Sean, and thanks for having me on, because we've got to have media outlets like yours correct the record. You are absolutely correct. The Capitol Police said there was no suspicious activity because Barry Loudermilk took a group of people to eat in the Longworth House Office Building cafeteria on January 5th, to go to the gift shop that was open that day in the House Office Buildings, and not one person in that group ever went into the Capitol that day or the next day. And they're trying to say that Barry led a group with kids carrying gift bags on a reconnaissance tour in buildings that were never breached by anyone the next day at all. It's absurd. It shows you that they have no case that they're trying to put out to the American people, and the Select Committee needs to stop immediately.
So let me ask you, you've been watching the hearings, I guess. Frankly, they bore me to tears. I think the American people figured out that a riot happened that day. But if you look at the evidence, there's no evidence that they presented. They try to make insinuations that Donald Trump planned this, plotted this, schemed this. I've been able to piece together on January 4th and confirm with 4 out of the 5 people in the Oval Office, one being the president himself, one being his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, one being the Secretary of Defense, Chris Stevens, one being his chief of staff, Kash Patel. They have all confirmed to me that that day Donald Trump authorized up to 20,000 National Guard troops to be available for security on the 6th, knowing a lot of people were coming. Why wasn't Nancy Pelosi, why did Benny Thompson, the chairman, not get her emails, her text messages, his text messages rather, or Nancy Pelosi's rather, or get the text messages, phone records, emails of the Mayor Bowser, who in writing rejected the Guard? Why haven't they brought in the Sergeant of Arms in the House and Senate? If the goal was to get to the bottom of this, this would be a major security failure on their part, and it would debunk the narrative that Donald Trump plotted and planned all of this, while they still ignore the words, many of you will peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol, so your voices will be heard.
They are not doing that. They're not telling the truth. They don't want to talk about what went wrong with the security decisions on the Capitol complex prior to January 6th. They want to just create a narrative that somehow the president's words inspired and created this conspiracy that you talked about. Look, 5 years ago yesterday, I had to run from bullets on a baseball field because some crazed gunman didn't like the fact we were living up to our promise to fix a broken healthcare system and tried to kill me and my friends while screaming healthcare. I didn't blame Bernie Sanders or Nancy Pelosi. The people who broke the law on January 6th are the ones that need to be held accountable. But before that happened, before that was even allowed to happen, mistakes were made because people didn't take the offer of National Guard troops prior to January 6th. And what's worse is we know this because of bipartisan investigations that have been done in the Senate, and frankly, because we've seen evidence of messaging where the House security officials directly under the purview of Speaker Pelosi were worried about optics. Optics shouldn't matter when it comes to protecting the safety of Americans, but it certainly did leading up to January 6th. And those are the questions that this circus committee will never ask and won't get answered.
You know, that's the sad thing, because I can tell you right now what I would do for safety and security. And if I was in charge, I would be building a perimeter around the Capitol with a huge wall and fence to prevent people from being able to breach into the grounds of the Capitol without proper authorization. I think that's simple, basic common sense.
You know, what we're trying to do is balance out the First Amendment rights of the American people to petition their government and the security and safety. And those are some long-term discussions that we need to have here in the complex. And when Republicans take the majority in November, I'm going to chair the Committee on House Administration. We have jurisdiction over the security apparatus here at the Capitol, and we're going to make sure that they are never, ever putting those brave men and women in the Capitol Police in danger again, because the leadership is going to change the way they gather intelligence.
But the problem here is they're not looking for the real answer. This is their opportunity to bludgeon Trump supporters, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
And that's the shame of this. And by the way, where is the committee looking into the 574 riots in the summer of 2020? Congressman, as I said, dozens of Americans died, thousands of cops were injured, and we had billions in property damage. Where's that committee, Congressman?
It's going to have to be asked. Those questions are going to be asked when Republicans control the committee process. But remember, Sean, this select committee is exactly what Nancy Pelosi planned for. She didn't want a bipartisan commission where Republicans would have a voice. I was one of the original members of this select committee named by Leader McCarthy. She didn't want us on that committee. She wanted, for the first time in our nation's history of the House of Representatives, a committee only run by her and one side, so she has one narrative. It's not a coincidence the Senate went through their normal committee process in a bipartisan way to investigate what went wrong. They came to the same conclusions we would. These hearings are only designed, as you said, to do one thing, and that's to attack President Trump. It's wrong, and this accusation against Barry Loudermilk shows that their entire evidentiary string is unraveling right in front of America's eyes.
Well, if they think this is going to change the narrative for the 2022 midterm elections, I think they're greatly mistaken. People are not watching these hearings. I mean, to have under 10 million and every network is carrying it almost, it's insane. Congressman, appreciate you being with us. Congressman Rodney Davis of Illinois, thank you.